Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at Prelude to Revolution. Now this is a very fun game. It's two players set kind of just in St. Petersburg between the whites and the reds to gain control of revolution and either enact or prevent the Russian Revolution. Now I'm not going to go into how to play the game. There's a very excellent how to play by Mo's game table. Go check that out if you're interested. And I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Frankly, I don't have time to reinvent the wheel. So I'm just going to give you my thoughts on this game. So production-wise, it's really well done. The board, a lot of people have two thoughts on the board. I really like it. It's very functional, but it's not standout art. I think the art is good. It's kind of all the different tracks inlaid on top of the map of St. Petersburg at the time, or Petrograd, I guess was what it was called during it. And it's a good track board. And what's kind of interesting about this game is you have an opportunity pool of cards. So as cards come out, they're going to be put sometimes not into your hand, but into the opportunity pool. Or the way you use a card, it will go into the opportunity pool. So you have your own, either the revolutionary or the whites, but there's also a neutral. And so with the neutral pool cards, you kind of almost want to sit on the same side of the table, so you can both quickly view those. So it's kind of strange. Most two-player games are going to sit opposed to each other. This one, I would not recommend that. You would want to sit on the same side of the table. So if you've got a very small table, probably not the best game to play. Otherwise, you're going to just be passing those neutral cards back and forth. But if you've got them in between yourselves, you can look at them quite well. Rule book is good. It explains things quite well. They have these kind of special event cards that you can use. So you normally have, it's normal CDG, you've got cards you can play for ops or the event, and then you have these kind of special one-time events that you can trigger in lieu of doing a card there. And that can be helpful during certain points of the game. The reference sheets are excellent. You read through the rules once, and then you can almost entirely just play the game off the reference cards. I mean, sometimes you might go back to look at the rule book, and it references it, right? Like, hey, scoring the Duma, 5.4. There's a little breakdown of it. How do I actually score the Duma? You can reference it there. So it's a very good rule book. My copy of the game did have a errata in that's off the board. It's correct in the rule book, and the cards are good. Cards are interesting. You have the standard deck of cards, and then you have these key events which will show up in your opportunity pool. You have, at certain times of the game, you have definitive events that can occur if you use your opportunity. Kind of each round, you get seeded, more opportunity points to fill it. So how you manage that, in addition to how you manage the action points and everything, is really interesting in this game. The rest of the components are just kind of basic. You've got these cubes. You've got the counters that aren't overly impressive, but this is a CDG. You don't need anything super, neat. You don't need minis. You don't need to really stand out. What makes this game really unique, I think the only other game is the other game in the Prelude system, the Prelude Rebellion in Canada. And I've not played that game. I've only played this one. I've played it 4 times. And the big drawback in this game is I've seen the whites win every single time. I've talked to some people down at BGCon. They've also seen the whites win every single time. So while I'm having fun, while it's really interesting, the game is definitely biased in favor of the whites. There's one guy in my game group, I don't want to talk down about him, but he's not the best player, right? So he'll win multiplayer games, but I have not lost a 2-player game to him, except his game when I was the Reds and he was the Whites. And so he freely admits, he's like, yeah, I don't think this game's balanced if I'm winning if I'm beating you. Now on BGG, I've noticed the designers have kind of come up with some interesting ways to try and balance the game. I've yet to implement those. I really wanted to just play it out of the box. These are the rules. And I think from now on, I'm going to be going to using that alternative mechanism to balance the game because it's a fun game, it's an interesting game. I love CDGs, and there's some really unique things in this CDG, but it is not a balanced game out of the box. I don't know how well they balance it, but I imagine that they do. So my reading of this BGG thread is there's additional abilities that you can give the Reds, and you're just bidding on how many. Like, you want to give them 1 additional ability, you want to give them 2, you want to give them 3, you want to give them 4 or 5. And, just depending on the skill of your opponent, I think that's going to make sense, and I think that'll balance the game. I'll probably do a follow-up video once I've got a few plays in with that new balancing mechanic to let you know. One thing that's really interesting and really neat in this game is after you play every card, you're going to roll a certain dice. So there's World Affairs scoring track, there's an organization scoring track, there's the Duma scoring track, and there's the districts. So there's districts, certain areas within Petrograd that you're leading in, you're controlling more districts, and then you can also organize the district. So maybe the Reds are really heavily supported by the populace in this district, but they haven't organized. And so it's a very interesting way this game works. But after each card plays, you roll a dice. And that's going to, whatever you roll, World Affairs, Duma, districts, organization, you're going to move that up on the scoring track. Once it gets to the end, it's going to trigger. So certain cards will tell you which dice to roll. And then the World Affairs track, half of it is 50% chance of rolling World Affairs, or you've got the other 3 are broken up on the other 3 sides of the dice. So that is a very interesting, very cool mechanic. And so as things get up higher, okay, this is going to score soon, but there's no definitive. It's not, hey, this is a card, boom, that's it. And even if, okay, I'm rolling the World Affairs track, it's 1 pip away, 1 more roll away from scoring, and I'm going to try and deliberately play a World Affairs card that has the World Affairs symbol to try and trigger it, but, bad luck, hey, I've rolled the Duma. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of tension that way. I really like this game. It's a unique thing. It's really interesting how the play works. The problem is it's just not balanced out of the box. Again, I'm looking forward to trying it with the designers put out this mechanism, this mechanic for bidding for extra abilities. I'm looking forward to playing it that way, and I'll let you know. I suspect that will balance the game. So I would say, hey, go out, get a copy of this game. But as it is, out of the box, you don't want to play by the rules as written. I mean, maybe the first time you do, but you'll probably see the game is balanced, or biased rather, in favor of the whites. And you need bid for abilities for the Reds. But it's a really interesting game. A lot of interesting mechanics. Go check out the Mo's Game Table How to Play video. They go through it all. But it's interesting, juicy decisions with how am I playing these cards? When do I want to trigger a card off the opportunity pool? And it's a very good, unique scoring mechanism that sometimes, okay, here's a scoring card, or we know exactly on turn 5 it's going to score. The added tension that this type of scoring mechanism adds is really great, really unique. In my understanding, comparing this game to the Prelude to Rebellion one, the Canada-themed game, it has a little bit more mechanics. You've got a little bit more synergies and adjacencies that can affect things. The way the Duma or the Parliament scores is more sophisticated in this game. So this one, I think, it is a good game. It's a solid game, and I'm looking forward to trying out those balancing, hitting ability. Anyway, if you've got any questions, feel free to put it in the comments. Again, my output on reviews is going to be pretty slow. I'm not going to do it until I know I've gotten enough reviews in to make a comment on a game out of box. And I don't have a lot. But I appreciate your comments, even ones you put on old videos, 12-year-old video. I still read them. I still see them. So thank you. Till next time.